Hello, everybody. Welcome to ClapperCast episode 139. I'm your host, Carson Tamar, on a special Oscar nomination episode, joined by the lovely Paul Price. Paul, how are you doing today?
Better than I was expecting.
That's good.
My body woke me. So I went and saw Missing. And I got home at 1, and I was like, okay, I'm not staying up for the Oscar noms. And then my body just like woke me up with a jolt at 5:17, and I was like, "Ugh, okay, if I try to go to sleep, I'm just gonna be like, the Oscars are on right now. So I did it. And then I didn't go back to sleep. So like probably right after this, we will be taking a nap.
I
I'm
did
like
go back to
worn
sleep
out.
after the Oscar nominations. I was like really prepared to miss them this year, but I was like, no, I'm going to wake up. And I did. And I felt nothing. And then I watched 2 short films and passed out for 3 hours. So what a day. Um yeah, so today was Oscar nominations. Obviously this is not 5:30 a.m. PST. Everyone on EST complaining, I do not care. I'd wake up at 5:30 for this. And today we're going to talk about our thoughts on the Oscar nominations. Paul, you can open up. How are you feeling? You mentioned that you're doing better than you expected. Do you like these nominations? What are your overarching thoughts on this year's Oscar nominations?
So, I was talking to a couple of my friends about it, and I was like, if you take out acting this year, there's a bunch because, like, some movies have a ton of actors, some don't. They're all kind of like chilling in the same like amount of nominations, which is kind of cool. I think it's like anywhere from 7 to like 4, that kind of range, and it's like that's unique. This is really different. And things that I wanted to failed. The whale. And then like the things that got in, I was not even like, I'm not the biggest fan of Everything Everywhere All at Once, but like I kind of wanted it to get a nom for costume design, and it did. I thought that was cool. Shocked it didn't get makeup and hairstyle, especially when you look at the rest of that list. But yeah, overall it was like, oh, cool. And then my girl Lydia overperformed, which was great. Um, in the categories that actually matter.
Yeah. I agree. I'm happy that there is no like villain, let's say this year. There's no Power of the Dog or Coda Peace and Love. Like go back and listen to our archives if you really want to hear my takes on that. But like I'm happy that there's no film this year I just truly detest. I'm annoyed by the conversation around some films, but like I am very happy Everything Everywhere All at Once is getting nominations. I think it's a film worthy of nominations. I'm happy to see like this year more than ever. I really feel like it feels like people picked what they actually are passionate about. Whether or not you like that, we can get to some of the acting nominations, especially. But I'm so sick of every year the Oscars feeling like it's this type of movie that gets in and it's this type of premiere, and you can like just it's completely a political game. And I think seeing things like The Whale Miss Picture or seeing some of the nominations here or there, just the success of some of these films, it really feels like we took like just what are we passionate about, and there's nothing here I outright hate. So I'm also doing pretty well, I would say. um yeah, I mean, I don't know, I feel good. I wish Bros got nominated, but that's okay, it wasn't going to happen, so who cares? Hugh Jackman didn't surprise for The Sun, that's okay. Babylon did not get in a
Uh,
picture, which is sad, but other than that, I'm doing good.
Listen, I was thrilled about that. This is also like the first year in a while that I haven't already watched all the nominations.
Mm,
Like all the Best Picture nominations prior to the nominees being listed. Um, Started with that role of me just not watching Avatar,
yeah.
and then my dad keeping the screening copy of Women Talking for like way too long. I just now got it. I was like,
Okay.
I'm not watching it this weekend. I also didn't think it was going to get in. A couple weeks ago, I would have watched it and we'd be fine. Um, but yeah,
When it comes
overall,
to
pretty good.
So you have to see 3 Best Pictures still?
Yeah, and we'll talk
Okay.
about them when we get to.
Yeah, we're gonna go through each individual above line category. I will quickly state I need to see 4 of the feature films to see everything, and then all the shorts. I did not even touch the shorts this year because I could not be bothered. Sorry, everyone. But I watched 2 and they were good, so I guess that's positive. Let's go ahead and let's go through. We're just gonna talk about above the line for right now. We don't need to get into like best costume design. Let's get into it maybe later. But let's go through the individual categories for above the line. And Paul, do you want to start off with best original screenplay? What got
Sure.
nominated? And then we're going to go through our favorites, our least favorites, what we wish got in, who we think is going to win, and such.
Yeah, so this was actually a fun category because I don't really dislike anything. Usually, original screenplay, I have like at least one that I'm like, this is nonsense. Um, I say that and then I notice the Fablemans is in there. Um, best original screenplay is Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Banshees of Inisherin, Triangle of Sadness, The Fablemans, and Tar. Yeah, I was so proud of myself, and then I realized I was just skipping over The Fablemans, which is trash. Um, Sorry to those who like it. I think the screenplay is actually one of the weakest parts. Especially weird for me because, like, right over there, I have a copy of Angels in America. I love some of Tony Kushner's work. I feel like his work with Spielberg is weak. I think it's a problem. I don't think he gets his witticisms in Spielberg's work.
Well, I think the
But
Fablemans. I blame a lot of the Fablemans screenplay wise. Fablemans review, everyone. We didn't do one, or maybe we did. I don't remember. I blame on Spielberg. Like clearly, Spielberg just like doesn't have the takes about his parents like anyone could work with to find something of real value, in my
yeah,
opinion.
no, I totally agree. But as far as like the ones that I'm excited about, obviously Tar. There was like, conversations of was it going to miss? It didn't. I think it's a fantastic script. Banshees of Inisherin, I think, is fantastic. Everything Everywhere All at Once, though, is not like my favorite film. Is unique. Now, if it wins, I will be a little like, okay, any movie that just uses Raccoon Cooney 12 times maybe doesn't deserve a medal, but
I'd
you
encourage
know,
everyone to go listen to our review of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Oh no, you weren't even on it. So actually, there's no receipts for you. If you should have seen the text conversations and the voice memos when Paul went and saw that film, you'll see there's a lot of development on saying this is a good film. But continue.
oh no, I don't. I still don't think it's a good film. I just think it's an interesting film,
Okay,
which is cool.
sure.
Like, uh, friend of the podcast, the Film Drunk, posted like last year and this year's and Best Picture nominees,
Yeah.
and the improvement is just like,
Well,
oh my
shocking.
god, yeah.
Yes.
Like last year was rough. Like I literally there was one movie I liked last year,
I feel like it's been
one or
rough though
two.
for years. Like this is the first
Yeah,
one since like a while. I've been like, okay, I'm here. Like maybe 2017 if memory is serving.
yeah. Um,
So you
and it
like
also
Tar and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
and Banshees. If I'm gonna guess what's gonna win, I'm going to say Banshees, and I also think that's probably the strongest of the scripts. That is a very hard tightrope to pull, even though I do love Tar.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really tough conversation for me for best of the screenplays in this category between Tar and Banshees. I think they're both excellent. I need to rewatch Tar. I think it just came out on Peacock or it's coming on Peacock, so I'll watch it there. But those are definitely two of my favorites here. I agree the Fablemans is weak. I think the screenplay for Everything Everywhere All at Once is its weakest part. My biggest issue of that film is in the beginning where you just like sit in that office building for like an hour, it feels like, and you never leave as Jamie Lee Curtis is there. And I'm like, get out, let me out. And sadly, that they really rewarded that part of the film. But yeah, I'm also like very okay with this category. I don't think there's anything here outright terrible. Triangle of Sadness, I'm a little more cold on than I think most people, but still, I agree.
I'm
My favorite is Tar. No, my favorite's Banshees, and I think Banshees will win. I agree.
Yeah. My my thing with Triangle of Sadness is like even though I think that the last portion of the film on the island is like painfully weak, um, I don't think anything's been funnier than H&M Balenciaga. Like it's so good. And there's so many moments that are just so good. Like when I think back to movies this year, most of like the ones that I can just immediately pull up are from Triangle of Sadness, even though I find the end of it to be like a repetitive in a way that I just find really basic. But yeah, really fantastic.
Well,
choices.
let's jump over to its sister category, Best Adapted Screenplay. Your nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery. I assume it got in there because of the boost we gave it on our podcast review. Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking. Women Talking got in there. I know there was some conversation on if it would or not. I think this is a strong screenplay outside of Glass, or a strong category outside of Glass Onion, really. I like all the other screenplays. I think they're all strong. I have plenty of issues with Glass Onion. Please go check out our previous review on it to get all of that. My strongest here would probably actually be Living. I saw Living last year at Sundance. I haven't seen it since, but I really appreciate that film. But I think this is, again, a pretty solid category.
This is one where like my missing what I haven't seen is really showing. Um, like I haven't seen Living, I haven't seen Women Talking, and I haven't seen All Quiet on the Western Front. But from the two, like honestly, I do think that Top Gun. I saw people like, "Oh, Top Gun." It's like, but you've also got to remember that this film went from like no one liked Top Gun, the original Top Gun. You were like, it was something that we like remember from a different era. Like that's our dad's movie, and to take that and make it a huge successful film, um, I think is really impressive. I'm also like, there's a part of me for the same reason. I do feel like it's a little disappointing that Avatar is not in here because I also think that that was really impressive to take something that literally was a laughing stock of like, wow, no uh, cultural impact at all, and like to bring in audiences once again is impressive. Um, but having not seen the other ones that I would cut from other than Glass Onion, but I also understand that there are some scenes in Glass Onion that I think are funny, and the screenplay category. I know is supposed to be like best story, but I do feel like sometimes they pick for best lines, and there are some good lines in there. But yeah, I think that's a weaker choice, but I'm glad it didn't show up other places, so he can have this.
I also will say I think this category, like, I do think there are better choices. Even Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, I'd give a shout out just because of how messy that film had every right to be and how unmessy and clean it ended up being. But I would say, like, I don't know, Adapted was weak this year. I'm going to be honest. Like, I was going through and just seeing what the options were, and like, there's not a lot of great choices here. So I'm not like mad that this is weaker than original screenplay because there wasn't
No,
that much to realistically work with. I agree. I probably would put Avatar in there. I would definitely change this
yeah,
category around a
and
bit, but it's not like you're
I
going to get
know we're
anything
gonna talk.
incredible.
Yeah, and I know we're gonna talk about surprises and snubs after this, but you have to mention the fact that the whale missed, which was a lot of people's like de facto winner. When you looked at predictions, listen, I think that the whale script is by far its weakest spot, bar none. It's a film I didn't connect with at all, and I think it's cold and mean. So I appreciate that the writers, you know what? Sure, go for it. But there's no like out of all these, um, even including the ones that I haven't gotten to yet, there are no like don't look ups in here that we're just like, okay. Like there's no aggressively bad script. There's just ones that don't connect with me personally. So yeah,
Who
I
do you
think
think
we did
would
good with
win?
screenplays this year.
I think this category is very open. Maybe it defaults to women talking, but I really like don't know.
Um I could see Women Talking win. Um yeah, maybe All Quiet. That is a really impressive thing to do. Again, taking an old, but I could even see Top Gun Maverick pulling it off, depending on if that's where they want to put. Like, we're not doing it for Best Picture, we can put it here. Um, it really depends on how the Oscars go. Sometimes they'll go with we're trying to spread the love. Sometimes they go all in. So who's to say? But I also none of these are really like the top contenders for Best Picture, so that does throw things a little bit too. It's interesting.
For sure. I mean, I personally hope they give Top Gun best original song. I think that'd be a great place to nominate and to really reward the film, but maybe a
Oh, yeah, that's
conversation
not
for another day. Let's go to best supporting actor. You have Brendan Gleeson for Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway, Judd Hirsch for The Fablemans. No one talked about like I literally screamed. This was my biggest reaction of the day. I don't know, no one reacted to this, but I was like, that's fucking insane. But you also have Barry Keoghan for Banshees of Inisherin and Kei Kwan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I will say I think this category is probably one I'm generally cold on. I think Barry Keoghan is fantastic. He's my personal choice to win. Brendan Gleeson is very good. Brian Tyree Henry is very good. But I wouldn't say like a lot of these scream like a best of the year if you're really looking at what's out there.
Yeah, it is interesting looking at this list. I do love Brendan Gleeson, and there is a part of me that feels like this is, especially for him and Colin, is like it's kind of for In Bruges. Like a little bit of it is like, you know, oh yeah, it's the same movie. Remember this movie? Which is fine. Brendan's fantastic in this. In that, Barry's fantastic. I haven't watched Causeway. I was one of those people who's like, that's not gonna happen. They're not gonna do one off like that. Judd Hirsch, actually, if I was gonna pick a Fableman boy, I'm glad it was him. I think Paul Dano was just very cold to me. I know that
Should have been Seth
that's the
Rogen
Twitter
though.
darling. Yeah. It is interesting that Seth wasn't ever talked about. Um, but yeah, I mean, this one's already set in stone. I think there's could have been a chance if Barry missed, that it could have been you know, um, a real battle. But this is done for, it's going to Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Which good for
My
him,
personal,
you know?
yeah, my personal would be Barry though. Um, I think as well. I think There Goes That Dream is like one of the great moments this year. That
It
whole
might be my
speech,
favorite scene of the year. Like truly, I love that scene so much.
and it's really disappointing because I think the two of them should get their flowers this year, and I don't think they will. But also, they've skyrocketed to probably going to be doing a lot. So, I think Carrie Condon's just going to become something. I think
I don't think I've ever
Barry is
worried in
going
my
to.
life that Barry Keoghan wouldn't have work. This man somehow gets into every fucking film out there. So actually, I'm good. I think he'll be in every project I ever see ever. Let's jump over maybe to supporting actress then. Do you want to go ahead and read off the nominees?
Cool. Yeah. So it's Angela Bassett for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Carrie Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin, Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Stephanie Shu for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Hong Chow for The Whale. Um, Listen, I have no problems with Jamie Lee Curtis getting in for this, only because like she's never been nominated, and you go through and you're like, she's done so many things. I think this is the same to an extent. It's not as strong a performance, but that we're doing with Angela Bassett right now, which is like, sure, the film's fine, sure, like, but this is a career, nomination. It'll be a win for Bassett, but yeah, I think all of this is good. I am one of those people that goes, I kind of wish Hong Chow got in for The Menu, a movie I do not like, but I felt her character in The Whale was very obnoxious. Um, so this is like, that's my like, I guess, um, choice. Um, Great to see Shu in there, only because people can't talk about how she missed anymore. I think she's great in it, but like, if she had not gotten in, Jamie Lee would have been, the villain of the month. So I think that this worked out well. But yeah, this is Bassett's to win. But I would go with Carrie.
Yeah, I mean, completely agree there as far as who I want to win, who I think is going to win. Thank God Stephanie made it in. She is easily, in my opinion, the best part of that film. So, like, if we're going to be rewarding it, if we're doing the, like, most nominations, you might as well include the best part of the film. I don't care if Jamie Lee Curtis never gets nominated for an Oscar because of this. She should not have been nominated here. She is terrible, and I'm annoyed by her, like, as a person now. So, that's fine. I really have turned. She's become, like, one of those. I loved her. Like 2018. I was like, great. And then I've lost interest. Hong Chau is like fine, bad in the film, like not great. I wish he was there for The Menu. Yeah, I don't know. This is one of those where like I really like Stephanie. I really like Carrie Condon, but the rest I could just like I don't know. I'm fine with Angela Bassett getting the like nomination and win for her performance, but like this is probably the one I feel the furthest from as far as like what I actually think is the best of the year. I'm very cold on this category. Um I don't know. Well, now we can jump over to lead actress while we're talking about the actresses, because this is a fun one. We have Kate Blanchett for Tar, Ana de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie,
Andrea Riseborough,
Riseborough, whatever.
Andrea.
Michelle Andrea, shout out Queen for Too Lively, like the funniest nomination. I think that's the moment Twitter exploded, and we'll get to it actually. Let's just save it. Michelle Williams for The Fablemans, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Look, I have not seen To Leslie. I do not assume the performance is that good. But I love that she got nominated. That's my truth. Just because it's something different and wild and like, you know what? People should be able to vote if all the celebrities really like want to just give it to this random woman. Sure, that's the Academy. Let's do it. I also just think this is a very strong category. I think everyone here, but Michelle Williams is good. Ana de Armas, hate the film she's in. Think obviously the screenplay behind her is terrible, but like she is undeniably, I think, good in that film. So I really think everyone here is good except for Michelle Williams, and that's pretty fucking good to have 4 out of 5. Or well, not yeah, assuming Andrea is good.
Yeah. Um, I am completely with you. Michelle Yeoh, I'm not a huge fan of that performance, just because it felt a little like not a lot of things can go on with that performance. It's a lot of reactionary work, which I find really boring. But you know, she didn't get it for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So like this is another one. You know, uh it's the same with what I said about Jamie Lee Curtis. It's like, yeah, sure, maybe it's not my favorite performance, but like there have been worse films that we've nominated people for as like a, mea culpa. So like this is fine. De Armas, retroactively, this is my truth. I feel like this shows that Kristen Stewart is not as good as people said last year. Only because it's like, yeah, if it's the weird movie with them playing someone famous, they're gonna get nominated. Like it's just like this I was like almost rooting for Ana de Armas to get in for that very reason. Michelle Williams is my only disappointment. I found her the worst part of that film. Almost sunk the performance, like the whole film. There's one scene where she's going to go look at a storm or a tornado or something, and she's like doing some sort of weird reaction, and I was like, this is the moment I would turn this film off. Like if I was watching a screener and I was like an Academy member. So it's very disappointing that she got in. I do feel like that's just because people love Michelle Williams. Um, but yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, but the elephant in the room, Riseborough, like it is impressive. I have yet to watch it. I just rented it. It's very funny that I'll probably watch it before some of the Best Picture nominees. Um, but you know, I love her in Possessor from last year. She's the only good part of the Grudge movie that came out like 2 years ago. Um, like there's so many things that she's just like done. She was in Matilda, fantastic in Matilda. Like there's so many roles that she's like does well that like I do understand the groundswell for her. I do think Rebecca Hall is now like probably livid because it's her turn now. But yeah, it's all fine. I want and think Kate wins, but
Agreed.
I would not be surprised if Riseborough takes it. I would be more
Ooh,
surprised. Yeah, that's my because if it's already fucking weird, like you know how there's some of those that's like if it gets the nomination, it's like everything's up for
yeah.
grabs. That's what this feels like. Um, so who knows? I hope it's Blanchett, but I also she campaigned at the Critics' Choice Awards for Riseborough, so like
Yeah.
who knows?
I agree about the Blanchett. I want her to win. Obviously, I think she's going to win. I do think I'll just like quickly mention. I know we'll get into snubs later. Danielle Deadweiler really deserved a place here. I think for Till, and she might be my personal choice if she was on here. But yeah, no, it's Blanchett now. I also would not be shocked to see Michelle Yeoh pull it out if like Everything Everywhere All at Once really is going to do it. I could see her just get swept along the way. But yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree. I think I'm very happy that Blanchett's gonna win. We are on a very good streak, it feels like, with Best Actress winners as far as like this, Tammy Faye, like, we are eating well, and I hope that continues well into the future. When we give Lady Gaga the award, we just gotta keep going until we get there.
Maybe she'll
Next
have a
up,
movie that's worth a damn.
what did you say?
I said maybe she'll have a movie that's worth a damn.
You know what? We don't need to talk about House of Gucci. Did I get flashbacks today on like, oh, I remember when Jared Leto missed. I remember, yeah, when Gaga missed, when I missed a picture. That's okay. Best actor, Paul. Do you want to read out who got Best Actor nominated?
Sure. So it's Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, Bill Nighy for Living, and Paul Mescal for After Sun. Um, Fine, sure. Like there, you know what? The coolest thing is that it's all first timers. In my personal predictions, I had these four, and then I swapped out Paul with Tom Hanks. Thrilled that it's not Tom Hanks, but in
For A
my
Man Called
gut, I
Otto?
yeah.
Valid.
Um, you know, I just felt like it was one of those where older Academy members. You don't see much of the old Academy in this actually this year. There's a lot of, and maybe it's just that um there weren't many like traditional options this year, so they had to go weird. Um, but yeah, all these choices are like, sure. I My personal like least favorite is going to be Frasier. I think that that's just uh, uh what people said about incorrectly about Jessica Chastain in The Eyes of Tammy Faye last year is what I felt in this, where it was just makeup doing a lot of acting. Like I've rewatched some of his like big moments to be like, maybe it was just, I'd had like a drink or two with friends before I watched. I'm like, okay, let me see if I was like, just not feeling it. It's like, no, this is like melodrama. He's playing for the, the cheap seats, and it's like, this is a small drama. Like, no man is ever going to be like, I have one thing in my life. It's like you would never talk like that. It's just not happening. It's just it's a kooky performance. I also don't think it wins. I think it's between Farrell and Butler. Um, I want Farrell. Really depends on how much love Banshees overall gets. I'm probably gonna say it also goes to Farrell, but Butler would give a great speech because of Lisa Marie Presley. So like, there is a part of me that's like, I enjoy a good speech regardless. So the only speech I don't think would be good was Frasier's. I think Frasier has done that shtick again and again and again, and I don't need to hear it again. Like, I don't need it in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree. I am gonna say I want and think Austin Butler takes it for Elvis. I think that's just like it is happening. He has this new Elvis accent that he can never get rid of now. Apparently, it's permanent. So like, can't wait to hear Elvis go up and give a speech. But I would
The
love
best
Colin.
part is he's gonna walk up and it's just gonna be gone.
Yeah,
He's like, I've done it. I
this
have
is the
won.
cure. I'm happy for
Don't we
the
need
After
to hear?
Sun fans. Paul Mescal. I was very underwhelmed by that film, but I think he is good in it. I'm excited to see him there. Bill from Living, I love. Yeah, I mean, again, I agree with you. The weak point here is Brendan Fraser for The Whale, who I don't think is great. I don't think he's in a good film. But the film also underperformed, so I shouldn't I liked The Mummy, so good for him. I can accept this. I'm not mad at him for getting this, but
This
like
is
I wouldn't
much
have
like
voted.
Jamie Lee Curtis's because
Yeah,
he's been putting in such good performances like The Mummy, which like, okay. To be fair though, he is absolutely fantastic in Gods and Monsters.
sure.
Which, Carson, have you watched
No.
that? Oh, that is very much a movie for you. It's about the director of James Whale. actually.
Yeah,
The director of The Bride of Frankenstein falling in love with his pool boy.
I'm
And
sure
it's
I would enjoy it. It was the last
it's
time before today a queer
I
actor got
know,
nominated for playing a queer
character.
character.
Yeah, and like he's really fantastic in it. It's also just a really fun film. We're not doing recommendations right now, but if you haven't watched it, it's a good film. Also, will make you like, oh, Brendan Fraser. It'll be like connected.
Maybe it'll make me like The Whale retroactively more. Let's jump to Best Director. Paul, go ahead and read them out.
I like how we were trading off, and now I've just read three in a row. Let me
No, I
find
read
it.
actress.
No, I read actor.
No, actress.
Oh,
I'm gaslighting you.
oh, okay.
No, I've read all of them, Paul. You've not read any.
um, Best director. Big surprise one for me. Martin McDonough for The Banshees of Inisherin. Todd Field for Tar. Ruben Ostlund for Triangle of Sadness. Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert for Everything Everywhere All at Once. The Daniels. And Steven Spielberg for The Fablemans. Only one I think is like two that I think are weak. I don't think that the directing in Everywhere All at Once is all that. I just don't. I think it's fine. I can see like aspects. Screenplay I think has some great moments. Um, I do just feel like the directing here is just like you know fine. Like it's fine. I actually think it's like really slow at points. So that's a fault of editing and direction, which I believe it also got an editing nom. So like you know but overall, yeah, no, this is a good lineup, unique. I know people were talking about like that it's an all male category, but I think Sarah Polly and Women Talking squeaked in to Best Picture. So I think like expecting her to have made it into the top five is just it wasn't going to happen. That being said, you know, Ostland is fine. Like, there's a lot of these that I'm like, yeah, okay, like I get it. There's no big shocks this year though. It's usually been and the foreign one, but like all of these are English language. They all are nominated for Best Picture. It's a very normal category. Um, so yeah, I'm curious what you thought.
Yeah, I mean, not to sound like a broken record, right, over and over and over again, but like I do think that this is a good category. I think everything here is well directed. Even like the weaker efforts, I don't love the screenplay for like Triangle or Fablemans or Everything Everywhere, but like I think the directing there is all really solid. I obviously do wish Giselle got in because I think that film is like fucking stunning when it comes to directing. But like I do think this is strong. I think this is Spielberg's big. Hey, we're giving Spielberg an award. We do it every once in a while. Come on, guys, let's celebrate Spielberg. But I do wish that probably Todd Field or McDonough again, like Tar and Banshees are very similar to me in a lot of ways as far as how I view them as just being like really well crafted, really beautiful poetic pieces of cinema to where like I'm fine with either of them winning anything over the other. But I would say I assume this is where Spielberg gets rewarded for Fablemans.
Um, I could see that. I do think that it didn't get a lot of love outside of this. Is a bellwether to this being a shocker. Um, I Overall, I think that a lot of these categories have different like you see like a real spread of people's love, and I think we could have some shockers from this. It could end up being Spielberg. I think he's number one. Daniels are probably number two. um but because of those split kind of votings, I think you could see a McDonough, a Field, or even an Ostland and be like, oh my gosh. But it's probably going to be Steve going up on that stage, which is boring because it's giving someone writing their own fan fiction and then giving them a best director for talking about how great they are and how much they want to hook up with their mom is weird.
My favorite
I
is
don't know.
news article this year though is no girlfriend, says Spielberg's former classmates. So I do hope they're there to like present it to him and be like, well, it was all a lie.
Okay, that's actually, you know what? He does not deserve the Oscar because of that scene. I think that scene is so bad. I know people are like, it's so funny. And it's like, yeah, this is not that film. Like, you can't just suddenly throw in camp into a regular movie and be like, that's fine. Like,
Well, the
even like, you
Fablemans
know,
did it.
Tar has some funny moments, but it's never like, you know, all of a sudden goes into like surrealist camp. Um, so that's, you know, um, yeah, I'm gonna say this is where I want Tar to sneak out. If I'm giving Banshees the screenplay, I would want Tar, but I think it's gonna be Steve.
Well, let's go to the big one. Best Picture. We have All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fablemans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking. I don't think this is shocking in the slightest. There's really nothing here. I mean, yes, I got some one wrong. That's kind of the running theme, though, with like this award season. If you wanted to predict it, you knew like four or three of them that were getting in, and then the other two had like, or the other couple had like, there's like four people who it could be, and never did it like surprise us and come outside of who we kind of expected. So like, I didn't predict Women Talking, but I'm not shocked to see it there, even though I do think it skated in very close to not getting in. I'm not shocked to see Triangle of Sadness, Top Gun Maverick. I kind of wish Elvis would win just because I think that film is like my favorite of the bunch. But I do think it will probably be at the current moment, and I've said this since Globes, I'm feeling Banshees, but like definitely Tar, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Elvis, even the Fablemans, even I would say like Top Gun Maverick, I would say are all possible.
Yeah. Uh, I will say that this is where I really feel like um in my favor, because I'm not the biggest Everything Everywhere fan. I do think that ranked voting is going to hurt it. First of all, ranked voting makes the um, de facto winner. If you don't like it, you put it at 0. Um, you know, you want it to like miss. You don't even put it on sometimes. Is a very common practice because people are petty. And I think that now that everything has a target on its back, I think that like that will hurt it. And I do think I agree with you. I do think actually, although I would be more preferential to Tar, I definitely could see Banshees winning. Like, I won't be surprised if Everything Everywhere wins. I won't be surprised if Banshees. I wouldn't be surprised if Top Gun. Um, Fablemans at this point would surprise me. I'd be like, huh, okay. Like,
I think it
not
missing
like,
editing was huge.
yeah. Oh, fun fact, I only got 2 categories 100% on my predictions. Those were sound and editing. And editing is the one where everyone's like, "Oh, I like completely fucked it." And I'm like, ha, I couldn't get anything else, but I got those. I was just really feeling that Tar would do a lot better than um most people thought.
Yes. I'm trying to figure out what I did for editing. I got where the fuck are you? Okay. Oh, I did pretty good. I got 3 out of the 5 for editing. The only categories I 100%ed were sound, and I think that might be it. Yeah, the only one I 100%ed was sound. So kind of disappointing on my end. Um yeah, I'd be fine with Tar here. One thing I like about this award season quite a bit is that it doesn't feel like every year it feels like we know what is winning screenplay, what is winning director. So then the conversation around picture gets pretty boring, where you can kind of see like, okay, what films actually have a pathway to best picture, what films do not. This year it doesn't feel like it's locked in for screenplay. It doesn't feel like it's locked in for director. So like Tar could easily surprise and win screenplay or director and then have a path to best picture. I like that it's open this year. I think it's going to make a lot more exciting to watch. Because truly, like any of these films could pick up director. Any of these films could pick up an acting or a screenplay win, and then like, okay, great, it has a path there. So I think that's going to make it very exciting to watch when we get to actually watching these awards.
Yeah, and I also think that in general, like, there is no Coda this year. There is no Nomadland. Um, we don't have any of those movies that are like, this is a message. So like, that's kind of nice. Like, we don't have those movies that are just like end up, being the de facto winner because like, well, we should vote for that. Which is fun because like everyone knew that both Nomadland and Coda were gonna win coming into the night. There was like some like, well, what if it's Power of the Dog? It never
I mean,
was.
I did not predict Coda, but that's okay.
Um, I think I did, and I was very sad about it.
Nomadland's
But
the
yeah,
only best picture I predicted right since like 2015. That is so fucking sad. So I will be
uh,
predicting Everything Everywhere All at Once to win Best Picture just so I can get it wrong and force and
God,
curse it.
um, no, and then it's just gonna be like fucking watch it be Avatar.
I would be so okay with it being Avatar. Ugh,
They're
no
gonna read it and
joke.
be like Tar, Avatar.
I mean, am I waiting for them to open the envelope and say, guys, there's been a write-in. Bros, Best Picture. It's what I'm expecting at this
Oh
point,
no, if
right?
there's a write-in, it's gonna be to Leslie.
Could you? I would love it. I'd be so. Do they allow
um,
write-ins for the Oscars?
no, they do not.
That's boo.
Um, I think they allow write-ins for the nomination period. Like sometimes there
Sure.
aren't ones, but yeah. So overall, I think it's pretty interesting. But we were going to talk about like surprises and snubs. Um, that's where I was like, and when you go look at the list, it's like Tom Cruise or like you know uh Deadweiler or Viola Davis. And I'm like, sure, 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 sure. But like the surprises for me were great, and the snubs. I was loving some of these snubs this year. Like, um, as a verified um, Pinocchio, not hater, but yes, like I enjoyed it, but it's done nothing for me since. And so now that it's become the de facto winner, I'm just a little annoyed with it. It like flopping was fantastic. Loved that. Everyone was like, it'll probably get in for picture, screenplay, music, score, best song,
You didn't want to see a
production
3 minute live
design.
performance of Chow Papa? Come on.
No, but speaking of the animated categories, Marcel the Shell did actually end up making it in. Fantastic for me. Thrilled. You know what didn't get in? Your stupid like Space Odyssey 1.5 or whatever it's called.
I didn't
Um,
even. I like Marcel better. It's just not an animated feature, but like valid.
I mean,
Everyone.
I rewatched it with Dad, and it definitely is.
I
But I
mean, it's
understand that.
definitely not. If we're
Like,
gonna say that is, then every single Marvel movie also is, right?
no,
Because like
it
we
has
can
to be
animate
75%.
characters.
It has to be
It's a
75%.
fucking tiny shell. The rest of it's live action.
Yeah, but like
Any
they
any
still
movie with the Incredible Hulk, because that's like fine, an all CGI like character thing.
no, but it has to be 75%. I mean, I do think that this breaks open this category a little bit in very cool ways. Like I think you could really
Sure.
have a Tom and Jerry like
Yeah.
nomination because they're like it's now, you know. But also Marcel didn't get nominated anywhere else. So like
No, it's
sure,
a
give it
great
to him.
film. That's the thing. Like my
No, I know, I'm just
losses
saying
this
like
year are good. I'm just like fundamentally, I do not agree it's an animated film, but like valid. If you're gonna
um
count it, it is a great film.
but for me, the big twist of the day was the Sea Beast getting in. Something that I didn't even predict because I was like, no, it couldn't. I remember I was clicking between Lightyear, My Father's Dragon, and Sea Beast, and I was like, I want to click Sea Beast. I was like, there's no way. No one's talking about Sea Beast. To be fair, there are giant posters of it everywhere because people are trying to get you to watch it to get those nominations.
AKA,
To
you've
Leslie,
hung giant posters around LA.
it's me. um, but yeah, it's funny. There are three movies I love on the animated category. Not that we were doing this round, but I'll just read them out. The movies are Turning Red, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. That also is part of it. That's very corny. Um, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, The Sea Beast, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Great list, you know. Great year for animation. I'm sad for the bad guys. That was like one that I think is pretty cool. But there's nothing terrible. There's no like Minions Rise of Gru in there. There's no like, you know, strange foreign film that no
Okay.
one's
Oh.
ever heard of.
I thought you were
No,
saying Strange World. I was like, okay, we don't need to
oh no.
attack me today.
No,
There's
no,
no
no. Some
Boss
strange
Baby,
foreign.
there's no Ferdinand, there's no, let's keep it
Yeah,
right.
there's no Strange World. Um, no, I think it's you know, a good list. It's all fine. As far as what I think is going to win, uh,
Come on.
kind of a part of me, thinks it could be Marcel. I could see it. I
It's
could see
gonna
it.
be Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Come on.
No, I think it. I mean, maybe,
Because now the fans
but
are
I
gonna feel
do.
worse that it underperforms. So they're like, well, we have to give it something just to
No,
like.
see, I think it's the opposite. I think that it's showing a like it's Pinocchio, and it's a like competent Pinocchio. And when it's not competent, it's the new stuff. Like the Hitler Youth instead of going to the Pleasure Island. Like there are some weird choices. And I think that people this getting nominated, I think a lot of people are going to go watch Marcel for the first time, and I think it'll like be surprising. I also would not be surprised by Puss in Boots. It has the best word of mouth in years of any movie I've heard of. Just crazy word of mouth. The last time I think I really can't even think of something that's done this like this, where it started out okay and just started doing better and better and better. The most famous one obviously is My Big Fat Greek Wedding, but um, for this to have been like a spin-off of a forgettable Shrek character outside of the one joke that we all remember where he shows his eyes, like great. And it's a sequel to a film no one's watched. It's really fun. Um Outside of that, I think the big surprises were like in terms of snubs were Decision to Leave missing in
So mad
international.
about it.
I and Bardo to an extent.
Mm,
I whether regardless of if you like it or not, it's still like shocking.
yeah. I'm
He's
happy it got
won best.
cinematography. Like it still did show up.
Yeah. Well, my favorite part about that is I love when a movie I don't like gets 1 to 2 categories that aren't anything like real, because it really says to me, we did watch the movie. Like, you there's no way that like the same with Babylon for me. It's like it's not like you can say like oh, it's just because they didn't get to it yet. It's like, no, we watched, we saw. um yeah, some really surprising stuff in there. You know, my buddy, the film drunk, was thrilled about the Quiet Girl movie I still haven't watched. This is all movies that I haven't watched this year, the international film. I was thrilled about EO. I don't know why. My like ride or die was EO this year.
That's
And I
so
was like,
valid.
why? Like,
It's a
I haven't
donkey.
watched it. I just love the poster. It's a very cute donkey on a poster. And honestly, I think it could get nominated. But I was going to talk a little bit. I read this yesterday before the nominations were revealed about like why everyone thought that this category was going to be strange international feature. There's too many films. They know that you're not going to watch them all. So they gave everyone 8, and then you like ranked them, and then those rankings all went in. But what they said was you didn't have to send in, you don't have to say you're going to watch all the movies, like the 8 that you're chosen. You can just not turn it in, but you have to watch the 8 to be able to vote. So what happens is they're randomized, but they're all in categories together. So say you got Decision to Leave, but it's with a bunch of films that you don't want to watch, you're probably like, okay, I'm just going to skip this. Decision to Leave will get in. That's probably why we got some crazier ones, and like the only the biggest got through.
Decision to Leave was Chris Daughtry out of the Oscars this year.
Yeah, no, pretty much. Um, like, because I do think it was The Quiet Girl that was going to miss, so I haven't seen either, so I can't like I don't have skin in the game, but that's it's what happened. I think the rest were all pretty much low. Maybe EO was low on the list too. But like close, everyone's been talking about. Argentina 1985 is like listed as one of the greatest films on Letterboxd right now until we all go and watch it and like, you know, drop it down as we do with all movies. All Quiet on the Western Front obviously is going to win. Um, but overall, the tech categories had some really interesting things that I think we like need to notice. It seems like because it has the most nominations, the Everything Everywhere overperformed, but it missed some stuff that like is a little like, hey, notice this. It missed sound and it missed music. Sorry, makeup and hairstyle. It did get score and song, which is interesting, especially over someone like Taylor Swift or like The Weeknd. But I do think that like if you're like putting your polls together on like stuff, that is something to note. It also missed production design, I believe. Is that correct? Um,
Yes, it did.
yeah.
I missed it.
It missing production. No.
I
Yes.
did.
Yeah. It missing production design, I think, is a huge red flag as well.
Yes.
That it is not as
Yes.
universal. It got into some weird categories that I think are making people see it as overperforming. The
Yeah.
film I do think, not because I like it, that actually did overperform, like legitimately, is Tar. I think there was a real world where it got Best Picture, Best Actress, and that's it.
Yeah.
And maybe and Screenplay. So like three that it was like probably set for. Um, it got director, it got cinematography, which is a wild one. It got editing. I think she was 97-1.
Yeah.
That was like my big like, oh, you got a bunch of points on Gold Derby, was that I put that one in. And that was like my friends made fun of me when I sent it to them, and they were like, okay, yeah, I get you love Tar. And I was like, no, I just see it. Like, it's in the same way Elvis wins. It's a music movie. So you're like, oh yeah, it
Yeah.
should. Um, I think that Tar's in a really good position. I think Banshees is in a really good position moving forward. Didn't miss anything. As far as Tar on the negative side, I do think Nina Haas missing
Yeah.
was a thing, but Dolly DeLeon didn't get in. I think that it's like pretty obvious that that group was just set. Like we retroactively thought it wasn't, but it was pretty much set from the word go. Hong Chow
Same with
probably
Tom
being
Hanks
the
and Elvis. Like, I hold that necessarily
yeah
against Elvis that hard.
yeah. I just think it's a little to where the acting categories, which is the biggest group, that being a little iffy. Were there any surprises or snubs that really got you?
I mean, definitely, I would say an overall snub, which I would like not necessarily in any specific categories, but Avatar only getting 4 surprised me. I really thought it was going to be like technically most of the technical categories obviously wasn't going to get like many above the lines, right? But like, did think that would do a little bit better. I'm very happy to see Miss Harris in Paris, even though that's not a shock, but just like throwing it out there. I do think Fableman's in editing. If you really look at editing, and I know like the editing stat is kind of dead now because Coda won last year without best film editing, but like before that, it was like 50 years other than like Birdman, which had an excuse of Best Picture also getting Best Film Editing nominations. I think that's like very bad for the Fablemans and kind of a telltale sign that maybe that isn't going to do too well, or at least like for Best Picture. But no, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm overall am pretty like okay with a lot of this. International features pretty fun. Very happy Close got in. I do think there was a world where Close missed, and I'm happy that's not true. I like Bardo. I would have been fine with Bardo in this lineup, but I also like all these films. I've not seen Argentina, but the rest I really enjoy. Animated feature, I agree. I mean, like all these I'm pretty okay with. The one is documentary feature. I have not seen A House Made of Splinters. I do think there's probably some stronger choices out there than like All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, All That Breathes. But I'm very happy Fire of Love made it in. Naval Knee is fantastic. So like I don't know, I'm not shocked by much here. There's things obviously I'd like Babylon to get more nominations, but also like it obviously wasn't going to happen, so I can't really say like, oh, I'm shocked or upset or angry because like it wasn't a thing. But no, I'm like genuinely pretty okay with all these. I'm very interested in how it shakes out, I will say.
Yeah, for me, like it's not a surprise. Natu getting in for RRR. I do think that once again, the international film category, going back to it a little bit, is like broken and needs to be fixed. I think two films that deserved a lot more recognition got fucked over in the past couple of years because of it. Most notably, like Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which I fully believe would have won cinematography, would have, uh, pulled in probably a Best Director nom and like really done some amazing stuff. They just get kneecapped, and it's not fair because it's not connected to the art; it's connected to the politics of the country. And to me, I go, okay, if there's never a situation where we're going to nominate like six German films, and even like, you know, maybe it's just set up like, okay, each country we vote, and it, whichever that one gets in. There's some ways to change it, but I don't think that this situation is tenable anymore. In terms of like, it's really hurting the art, and like, you saw it with the reactions. Best song overall, I think, is the weirdest category because there was like, you know, some cool stuff that could have been in. There's some of this is fine. Chow Pop Up Missing is great, but This Is a Life, I went and listened to it again, and I was like, this is going to be so boring on Oscar night. Like, it is definitely like Leave the Theater music. It just is. It's just weird and ethereal, and I don't think it's gonna play well. Um, then we have fucking Applause from Diane Warren. Like, I'm sorry, like, you got your fake Oscar already. Like, please leave us alone.
She's a queen.
Um,
Let her live.
no, this woman is a menace. Every couple years, I have to
Every
listen
year.
to
Not every couple, every year.
I have to listen to the worst song I've ever heard, warbled out by some no name from a movie we will never discuss again because she has a lot of. You know what? People are mad about Andrea Riseborough. This is the Andrea Riseborough. This is
Yes.
Andrea Riseborough right now, and the reason she always gets nominated and never wins is because then it moves out of her little category of friends. Like, and real people start voting, and they're like, "No, that's shit," and I'm like, "Thank you." I have not listened to this song. Maybe I'll be really shocked. I will not be. I'm very excited for them to put it like in the weirdest spot as they always do. It's just like,
Are you
and
gonna
this
watch the
one.
movie
And
or just the
no, I'm
song?
just gonna listen to
Hey,
the song. I'm
I'm
not.
100% completing it. I'm watching the movie. If I'm gonna watch her
Uh,
breakthrough Christian healing the child who fell through the ice film, I'm gonna watch this. Diane Warren
um,
making me watch the Hulu originals every
yeah,
year.
no, I know that's. But I think like and yes, I'm a little salty because I think there, we need numbers in terms of like people watching the Oscars, and fucking Rihanna and Taylor Swift would
They
have
don't
been
like Taylor
wild.
Swift.
Yeah, they hate that woman.
Wait,
Although, like, to
why
be,
don't you mention Lady Gaga in that? I think Rihanna, Lady Gaga, and Taylor Swift would have been big. I
I
don't
couldn't
know.
remember who it was. Yeah, it's Lady Gaga.
My truth is
But like,
Taylor Swift should have gotten for Cats. That's my truth. But
actually, you know what? That song is actually Fox, and so I agree
yeah,
with you.
Beautiful Dreams is
Um,
great.
yeah. Side note, and I know this, like, we're going a little over anyway. Um, Always weird to me that like huge stars don't just attach like a huge single to like any given movie. Like, why would you not? Like, I would be throwing that football every single second I could. Like, put me in the credit song. Like, I don't care. Like, you know. it's so weird.
And it
Let's
can't be that
just
hard either to, like, convince, like,
no.
just look at what's award season, look at what's, like, gonna be at Venice and be like, "Hey, I'll, like, quickly do a credit song for you," and you're in.
Yeah, or just, use a song that, like, any of these songs nowadays are like, fit with any category. So, like, just toss it in.
Well, yeah, especially now
But
at the rise of credit song. I mean, truly any song can be with any film, and you'll be great.
yeah, no, it'd be great. It's just like,
Diane Warren on
I
the phone, get her to write you a song and you're in.
no. um, I do love the idea though that you could just make the shittiest movie, and if you get her to do a song, you're an Oscar nominated film, which is great. And I hope this is the last year that she ever makes music. Um, it's real bad for
I hope
me.
Diane gets in
Um,
for the next I hope every year for the next 30 years until she wins.
it's
When is the 100th Oscars? Whatever that one is, she needs to win there, and then that's it. That's the end.
she's so far close to getting the most losingest Oscars.
She's
She's
so
about
sad also. Every year she gets, like, visibly sadder. Hopefully this year it's better now that she has her little, like, fake Oscar, but, like, really I hope she wins it. That'd be fun. But I like, every
I
year,
hope
if
it's
you watch when they announce it and they
plastic.
show all their faces, she sits there and, like, 5 years ago, you go and she's like a little applause, and now she just, like, looks sad and, like, just doesn't change. It's really quite depressing.
Yeah, but she's asking for it. Just don't make music.
Is she
Or
actually asking for it though? She picks the worst projects to just get paychecks, and then the Academy, her friends vote for her. And
yeah,
how do you tell your friends not to vote for you, I guess?
I don't know. We'll ask Andrea.
I think she did the opposite. I think she was very okay with getting nominated.
I
Um,
fully believe that she had no like. I'm sure she was like, "Yeah, do it." I guess.
Shout out to My Year of Dicks, I'll say. I don't know what it's about. I know it's a Disney short. Apparently Disney did it. I don't
No,
No, they did.
no.
I guarantee you, unless, Twitter's lying to me, which is possible. Let me go to the Wikipedia page. It's Disney. I don't think it's, like, on Disney Plus, obviously, but I think, like, the production company did is I don't know. I'm shout out that one. I enjoyed hearing them say that.
I enjoy. You know what? Also, shout out to uh Allison Williams and Riz Ahmed for like doing like a really good
Great.
fast presentation. So good. Last year's being like specifically just truly awful.
Why was it
Um,
awful, Paul?
and listen, there's reasons why it's awful. Um, and the good thing is that won't happen anymore because COVID's over and now we're in person.
Okay,
Not any other reason at
sure.
all on why um, eh, this was so much better.
When you excuse yourself during the in memoriam part of the show,
Oh no! I was gonna say never in a movie, but did the nominations last year.
I hope how sometimes they'll play short clips? I hope they play the entire nomination announcement from last year.
No, just a montage of him fumbling every like easy name.
Look, I love him. He's a king. Rest in
Was
peace. Was not I would not say his strength in life, and people are allowed not to have strengths in life. I would not say him announcing the Oscar nominations was a strength of his. But that's so valid because I also would do a terrible job. So, like, valid. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Do you have any last thoughts you would like to share about the Oscar nominations for the 95th Academy Awards?
yeah. Also, really fun this year that the Oscars came out before the guilds. It'll be interesting to see if the guilds follow, but kind of fuck with that. Like that's cool. Like, I hope that we do that more. Like the Oscars, because they are the given. I think that's become something that we just like use all the info. But I think we had a lot of pleasant surprises because the guilds hadn't decided for us. I almost wish that like SAG hadn't been before, because that did feel like some of the spoilers. Although, it did leave Riseborough to be the big moment.
That's true.
Also,
Um,
Critics' Choice doesn't matter. Sorry, Critics' Choice doesn't matter. Everyone keeps using that as a category. It's like, y'all, it has nothing to do with it at all.
all they
Like,
want
even
to
if
feel included. You
I
know,
know,
people like to feel like they are really out there doing the Oscar season. So I think we should let them have their moment. And do I have every single possible phrase and hashtag around that event muted on my Twitter? Absolutely. Couldn't tell you anything that happened. Any of these, really. I couldn't tell
thrilled when
you.
you get into
Yeah.
it.
But I think it's valid that they want to feel important. So
You know who
valid.
else wanted to feel important? The Golden Globes, and look what happened to them. Critics' Choice.
Well, at least they're on streaming. Maybe the
Actually,
Academy could
you know
take
what?
a lesson of that.
Almost all, almost all of the award ceremonies that aren't like guild related have some sort of like horrible thing happen to them. So like, I would
Yeah.
just watch out.
Well, I mean, I think wasn't there a controversy around Critics' Choice like this year? I'm pretty sure there was like something.
No, no, no. That was the other one. The Hollywood
Hollywood Critics,
is what.
well,
Mhm,
it's like the same
that's what
people.
I was
It's
thinking of.
literally the same bodies of people. So I assume something will come out soon, and I will love it when film Twitter just explodes and destroys and dies. Well, let's go to our
Or we join
question.
it.
Right. Right. And then we'll be the last one surviving. Question we imagine we're the ones who don't get canceled. That would be impressive. Um
It's, I'm literally gonna get canceled for the previous 5 minutes, but go off.
oh yeah, no, for sure. That's something when we talk about awards, we're gonna get canceled, but that's okay. Our question of the week is a very simple one at this moment, and we've already answered this, but what do you think is winning Best Picture? So, Paul, re-jog our memory. What do you currently think is winning Best Picture?
Were you gonna pick Banshees or were you gonna pick everything?
You say your truth, and then I'll say mine.
Okay, I'm gonna say Banshees. I
Okay.
think Banshees wins.
I'm gonna predict everything ever all at once. I'm gonna do it, guys, because either then I'm right or it misses, and I'm okay with
And
that
you
as
did
long
it.
as it's not like. No, I would be okay with it missing. I, I, mm,
I also will just enjoy film Twitter being like, "We were robbed."
oh, there's one Twitter account I would love to watch. I would unmute in a hurry. um, mm.
Oh
Let's
God,
okay, where can we find everyone on social media? There's only two of us, so
everyone!
Paul, everyone, all of our
You
friends in the room,
can find
Lydia
me
back there.
everywhere.
Lydia, where are you?
Actually, do follow the at
Yeah,
Lydia Tart account. It is so funny. But
her one tweet
I
about smoking cigarettes in Europe would be my yearbook quote if I was still in high school. Incredible.
um, you can find me everything everywhere all at once on Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd at Price Like Tag.
That was cute. You can find
Thank
me,
you.
the Banshee's been Sharon, at I know it is. On Twitter at BP_movie reviews, Letterboxd Carson Tamar. You can find us on Twitter at Clapper Podcast, Letterboxd, YouTube, everywhere. We had a podcast exclusive review of Missing this week. We have a YouTube exclusive review of the Ant-Man's coming eventually. We have a bunch of fun stuff coming on the podcast. So follow us, and we'll see you next week for my birthday episode of The Hunger Games. Goodbye.